our end. And good morning, YouTube. Good morning, everyone. I hope everyone's doing well today. We've got a pretty exciting day ahead. We've got the first of the month. It is September 1st. And I hope everyone's having a great start to the month, a great start to the week. And let's just dive into this. Let's talk about what happened overnight in some of these other markets. So in Asia, we see Japan flat, Hong Kong flat, China up 0.4%, and India up 0.7%. In Europe midday, we got London down 1.2%, Paris up 0.5%, and Frankfurt up 0.8%. So in terms of the futures this morning, what we saw was the Dow was up 0.1%, S&P up just slightly 0.3%, but now we can see pretty significant slip on the S&P. I'm just watching it right now as we just crossed over that 3,500 line to the downside. So we've seen a little bearish move, about 11-point drop just now. Pretty significant actually, while the NASDAQ too dropping pretty heavily through its 12,180 mark. So through its R1, pretty substantial gains on the NASDAQ here. But we saw NASDAQ overnight up 1.1%. We'll talk about just why. We saw crude up 1.1% as well into $43-ish, and gold up about 1%, just touched that 2001 level on gold. Very interesting. So in today's news, we got Reebok chain store sales, we got PMI manufacturing index, ISM manufacturing index at 10, construction spending at 10, and Fed's Brainard speech at 1 p.m. So let's talk about what happened yesterday. Good morning, all. I hope everyone's having an amazing day. Shares of Tesla, TSLA, after the 5-to-1 split, are up another 7.5% pre-market, up to that 530 pre-market mark, adding to the 12.5% rally we saw yesterday after that split. So we've seen an influx of retail money, and Apple shares are also up about 2.6%, up to the $132 in the early trade pre-market, following a 3.4% pop on Monday. So we've seen So we've seen the stocks rally significantly since the split. So since the split, respectively, Apple up 35% about, and Tesla up about 80% about. So that's been a month since the split. We've seen these drastic gains. And now, could this continue? I hope everyone that is long, that got in long yesterday, whether it's options or stocks, be aware that this is pretty crazy gains. Maybe lock in some profit, manage that risk. I hope a lot of you guys really jumped in on this. It is a great opportunity, but at the same time, this is a high volume retail trade, right? A lot of the volume is coming from the retail money, appearing to be taking down popular brokerages like Robinhood and TD Ameritrade. All these outages are due to that retail money jumping in on Monday, right? We've seen so many outages across the boards. These aren't outages on big institutional funds. These are outages on the retail platforms, right? So that's how we know it's retail money, right? There's a lot of retail money into this. We've seen the volume itself, like the data's available. So overnight, we see the S&P 500 and Dow futures rise about, like I said, 0.3 and 0.1% respectively throughout, though the contract's tied to the NASDAQ, again, substantial gains, which has led by those gains on Apple and Tesla. Meanwhile, Zoom is up incredibly. Zoom beat revenue earnings by about like 300%. We've seen Zoom up 40% this morning, pushing into, let me tell you the exact dollar amount. We're up 38.42%. I'm looking at on my screen, $450. We're up $125 on Zoom. So it's trading $450 pre-market off that earnings report, right? We saw it jump about 30% after hours, adding some more this morning. So we saw the quarterly revenue more than triple due to stay-at-home trends, while the video conferencing company raised its sales outlook. So the results cemented the Nasdaq's best performance since 2000, while the S&P 500 recorded one of its best Augusts since the 1980s. Prior to the stock breakups, some were saying that splits are non-impactful anymore as fractional shares become widely available throughout a lot of brokerages. So now, instead of buying one full Amazon for $3,400, you can buy maybe 0.1 Amazon share 10% of an Amazon share, 20%, whatever that is, right? I personally don't really like that. I'd rather have those whole shares, but it makes it a lot more available for people to start investing into. Now, because essentially, right, with these splits, the market caps do still stay the same. Regardless of the rationale behind it, that doesn't seem to be the sentiment of the new trader, right? Which has created frustration for the old guard. Look at Tesla and Apple. Everyone understands that stock splits don't create value, said Leon Cooperman, who founded Omega Advisors. My dad once told me, if you gave 5 singles for a $5 bill, I'm no better off. However, these splits make it more attainable for a lot of traders to actually get into the market. Yeah, like crypto, right? But even without these fractional shares, the lower price in these shares makes it more attractive and makes it more accessible for traders, even without the fractional shares, right, to get into the market. You see Apple at 125 bucks yesterday off the open. What do you think's going to happen, right? A lot of people say, oh, wow, well, Apple's such a strong company. We're probably going to see it at 200 bucks by the end of the year anyways. Let me jump in, right? It makes it more accessible than someone thinking, oh, I want to buy Apple at 500 bucks. Even though 500 bucks and 125 are the same, they're both all-time highs. It's way easier to buy an all-time high if it's 125 bucks psychologically for a lot of people, right? So in terms of what we've seen in progression with the elections, we're coming into an election year. It's going to be a lot of opportunity. Stay tuned. We got something for you guys. But position your portfolios because we've seen the rise in odds of Trump winning the re-election, according to JP Morgan Chase and Co., which says the spread between him and Joe Biden is now nearly even. So that's largely due to the impact on public opinion, obviously, of violence around protests, as well as potential bias in polls, says strategist Marco Kolonovich. Implications could be significant for the performance of sectors, COVID-19 winners or losers, as well as ESG. Through certainly a lot can happen in the next 60 days or so. So what we've seen is an advancement in those polls, and of course, you'll have to reposition your portfolios or make investment decisions based on who you think is taking the lead. Obviously, that will come a little further down the line, but both have a different impact on markets and financial asset pricing. So as AstraZeneca is starting phase 3 trials of its experimental coronavirus vaccine in the US, becoming the third company to start large stage trials to prevent COVID-19. Trial centers across the nation are recruiting up to 30,000 adults 18 and over. And AstraZeneca's vaccine, also known as AZD1222, 32s, was developed by partnership with Oxford University and has the backing of the US government. So rivals Moderna and Pfizer/BioNTech already have phase 3 trials underway, also with federal funding. So in terms of tech news, we've seen escalating tensions in Canberra. Facebook said it will stop Australians sharing news content on its platforms if a proposal to make it pay local media outlets for their content becomes a law. So the country would become the first to make the giant social network and Google, which is also opposed to the legislation, pay for news sourced from local providers under the royal system, the royal style system. So we don't respond to coercion or heavy-handed threats, whether they come from big tech giants or whoever it is. Australian Treasurer Josh Frydenberg said in response to adding the proposed law to make this national interest and followed a 18 months of public inquiry. So very interesting stuff going on, and we have to roll it back to some more tech news here. Walmart is finally going ahead with Amazon via a nationwide membership program. Through the retailer says the new service is really about doubling down the customers we have and getting more share of wallet and more share of mind. The program, which costs $90 annually or about $12.95 a month, will launch September 15th. And the biggest difference in Walmart Plus, customers will have to spend a minimum of $35 for each online order to avoid fees, while rival Amazon Prime touts free 2-day and some same-day shipping on every item. Also, Mega how-to man, Tesla SPY inclusion certain. So 5 billion is going to be used to control price. Very interesting. So $5 billion to increase. Sorry, let me just manage some of this here. To increase shares. So they're pumping out. Tesla's actually pumping out more shares available for trading, about $5 billion worth we've seen. So it's going to be very interesting. You bring up a pretty good point. Is the Tesla on the S&P certain at this point? But this influx of shares is going to dampen some of the upside on Tesla. I'm not saying it's going to drop another 15, 20%, but we'll see a little stagnation, slight pullback probably on this increase in supply. So a pretty good point. Thanks for bringing that up. In terms of other tech news, we got Amazon has received approval from the FAA to operate its fleet of prime air delivery drones, allowing the e-commerce giant to expand autonomous packaged delivery. And it's not alone. So UPS and Wing, a unit of Alphabet, have already created clearance to operate unmanned air fleets in the US, while routine drone deliveries to American consumers are still years away. Amazon is targeting package delivery to customers in 30 minutes or less, and it began testing in 2018. So what we're going to see this morning is some volatility, I think. We've got 58,000 contracts traded on the S&P 500. That is pretty good. It's looking pretty good for us in terms of volume. We like to see nice volume, plump volume come into the opening session so we can have a lot of trade opportunity. We just got a pretty significant spill to the downside through that 98 level, an area that we were watching for yesterday that was tested to the downside at about 4 p.m. We could see a little more downside, right? We have a low to break overnight low at the 84 is what we're watching for. If we pop back above that 1008 on the S&P, it gets a lot more bullish. So like you said, Zoom looks like a runner as well. Very good insight. So Zoom right now, it's up, it's down slightly since we talked about it. $6, big deal, right? It's still up 120 bucks pre-market. Zoom could still take this momentum and keep pumping, but again, it's getting pretty expensive at this point. How much more could it go? Obviously, a decent amount. It still looks like a runner, like you said. I like it for a momentum swing. We'll have to keep an eye on it throughout the day. So, having said that, thanks for the interaction, guys. I hope everyone is doing well and getting ready for this market. We are going to jump into our morning room with our traders. So I hope everyone has a good community to trade with, as we're going to be watching these markets very intently today and thinking of trade ideas and opportunities. I hope everyone has a great trading day, and we'll see everyone tomorrow, and we'll get ready for next week, which post Labor Day, we're expecting a lot of opportunity and movement. So if you guys want to learn more about that, stay tuned. We're going to have something for you guys in terms of wrapping that up. So take care, guys. I hope you all have a great day. Good luck trading, and we'll see you tomorrow.